we're just going to get right into it. I ordered your desk, the same Gator desk that you got.
Yep.
And Sweetwater, it was like on pre-order or on order or something. And Sweetwater said, "Oh, it'll be like 2-3 weeks." Cool. 3 weeks. I called him. Hey, that's going to be another like 3 to 4 weeks. I'm like, okay. And then I called him again after that time had elapsed, and they said, it's going to be late October.
Oh.
So canceled that, and I just got this really, I don't know, really basic looking. They call it a desk. It's a table. But I thought, this is going to be good. I can mount on my lights. My lights mount perfectly, but this thing, this boom arm, there's like this big metal frame around the bottom of the edge of the desk, and it's really struggling to grip. So every time I move it, it wiggles real hard. So I gotta use one of this thing where you screw it down.
Yeah. I was gonna say just bolt it right to the table.
Yeah.
I've been real happy with this one. I got the blue arm here. It's pretty good. It's really, really nice. So, and I apologize about the desk thing. I do actually think I am partially or maybe wholly to blame for the back order because my Sweetwater guy,
shell effect.
Yeah, they said that when I made the video about putting this room together, that those desks went on back order like that, and they have not been able to keep up. So I apologize.
Well, what's really annoying is that when you venture beyond Sweetwater, they're out everywhere else too. And I found some from some other live sound, studio sort of website, and they said they were in stock, and I shot them an email and said, "Hey, when can these ship?" And they said, "Oh, they're not in stock." I'm like, "What are you?"
Yeah, it happened. It's a great desk, though. I have to say.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna make this work. I bought like a Furman power conditioner that's in the floor. I'm gonna get like a thing and like mount it underneath.
Dude, just make a rack for it. Make a rack box.
Well, what's funny is the table legs are almost the perfect width. So I may build it into the side where it just the side of the desk.
I can sidecar kind of situation. Yeah,
just going out into the room.
I have a pet peeve, and it's stupid and lame, but I can't stand seeing rack gear not in a rack. Whether it's just like sitting on a table or stacked up on top of, and I know it's like a lot of studios do that, a lot of places do that, and it's not a big deal, but it just bothers me for some reason when you see
Well, I can't wait for you to come see my mess.
It's going to stress me out. It's not. I'm not going to be happy with it. Just go buy a get like one of those SKB. I've got one here with my preamps in it. Like the SKB travel case things are great.
Well, what I want to do is get 4 or so space that I can just put on literally under the desk. Because the only thing I plan on having is the power conditioner and maybe a mic preamp. But anyway, Dipped in Tone.
We're back.
We're back, baby.
Where have we been?
We've been swimming in a sea of stuff we had to do. So
we had a moment together a couple weeks ago where we got on the phone and we were like, all right, what are we doing here? What's happening with
real come to Jesus sort of moment?
Yeah.
Not really.
Well, yeah. So let's talk about that for a second because, we started this as sort of a fun, not side project, but because that makes it sound like we never have taken it seriously, which we have. But it started as like a fun, let's just do a podcast. And then it's kind of turned into a thing. We have fans. We have patrons. We have a lot of supporters. Shout out to the patrons here in the Discord chat. If you want to join in while we're taping live, you can do that by signing up for our Patreon, link down below. But I feel like we're a year into this.
Basically.
Almost exactly 1 calendar year into this.
Yeah.
We've done 48 episodes?
There's a bunch that just live in the ether now.
Yeah, there's 2 floating out there that we've taped and I don't know have gone live due to technical issues. I think this is episode 47, right? 48?
The last one we posted was 44.
Oh,
but I know there's at least 3 that we never posted that are.
Yeah,
you can watch the live streams back if you're on Patreon. You can find
right. So we decided we kind of had a moment where we're like, okay, one of 2 things needs to happen here. Because we either need to call it what it was, had a good time, and hang up the pod mics forever. Just buy their mic cables, just hang them up, or B. We need to double down and really make this a thing.
Yeah.
And I think we decided to go with option B.
Yeah, ultimately, we've been so busy. Because you got hurt. then like, now you're starting to have to gig again for a little, for we'll see. And then I had to move and like have just, been running around like crazy trying to get everything built. But we're going to keep it, we're going to get a schedule and we're going to stick to it and we're going to make it happen. And now that all this is out of the house, I can do it at a little bit more convenient times for everybody, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the past 4 months, I bought a house, I moved, and then promptly broke my collarbone and then started gigging again. You got a new shop, got your first employees, moved, completely had to blow your whole setup apart. I mean, it's been a crazy summer.
Yeah. And we lost Jesse. Jesse,
he's not dead.
He's not dead. No, we just lost him. We don't know where he is. We can't find him.
He just hasn't showed up.
So no, he got a job offer that was just bananas. So he said, "Hey, I think I have to do this." And it's like, of course you have to do that. Let's go do it.
Yeah.
So I've hired another guy. So I have McKinley, part of our Destiny Fire team. And I hired a new guy named Jeff, and he's doing great. So we actually, except for Wildwood Mjolnirs, we are completely caught up with all dealer orders. Everything but Wildwood Mjolnirs are built, which is crazy. Probably the most caught up I've been in about 2 years. So it's pretty wild.
You know what that means, guys? Go buy more Mythos stuff so you can stress Zach out more. And get
please. Him, well, what it ultimately means is that now I can start connecting with more dealers. More dealers are going to be like coming soon. I just got Distinctive Guitar. Chicago Music Exchange got their first shipment, so they should be posting about it, I think, this week. So a lot of things are happening. It's really exciting, and I can finally, now that I have these guys that kind of have it figured out a little bit, I'm still teaching, but we can start taking on more dealers, and ultimately I want to get more places abroad too, because it just sucks having to ship things overseas and all the taxes and customs and stuff you got to pay.
So with the podcast, what we've decided is we really want to grow this thing. We want to become the leading #1 guitar podcasts in the ether.
Forever.
That's it, Guitar Nerds. We're
coming for all of you.
We're coming for you.
Blake,
that's it.
Tone Mob, listen.
We're hell-bent for leather, man. Y'all better look out. But seriously, we want to step up our game. We want to get more consistent. We want to continue to grow. We want to cover more topics. We want to have guests on. We want to bring in new elements to the show. This has been sort of a casual, fun hang, and we're going to keep that element, but we definitely want to grow it to something, a little bit not higher production value, but a little bit more substantial. So with that said, we have, if you're one of our patrons, we want to hear from you guys, and we want to hear what you think, what you want to hear more of, what you want to see on the show. If you're one of our YouTube subscribers, we want to see same thing. What do you want to hear more of? What do you want to see on the show? Who do you want to see on the show?
Yes.
So that's it. Dipped in Tone 2.0. It's coming. Our second year, season 2.
Season 2. I was, because when you post on our podcast thing, you can pick a season. I guess it's mainly for the Apple stuff.
Yeah.
But I was gonna do season 2 whenever it hit a year. It would be season 2 would start.
Yeah. So this will be season 2 for sure.
Yes.
Nice. So there we go.
We are gonna keep dipping rigs. So
for sure.
I think this one's a good one. I kind of want to abandon the whole fight and move back into having the
an actual rig,
but a normal rig. And I whoa!
Sorry, I have to fix my ISO. It's bothering me. Everyone stand by.
I encourage everybody who is a patron to email us a new email with your rig. And remember, it's a giggable rig, not your collection.
Yeah, we don't want to see all your stuff. We want to see something you could actually take to a show and use.
An amp or two, a guitar or two, and a pedal board, basically. So, but I have a rig here from Mr. Brian Bishop.
All right, lay it on me.
This one's good. I think this falls into the fight thing. And let me read this before I post it. Okay. In pursuit of that sweet, sweet Josh Scott slide tone, this rig was born.
Oh my God.
And here it comes. Pow.
Whoa. Oh man, I saw this one pop up in the email.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
Why don't you tell the fine people at home what we're looking at here?
Oh boy. It looks like Mr. Bishop went straight to Guitar Center and slapped his money down on the table and said, "I'll take the entire 3 series. Give me everything you got."
How many? That's what 7?
7. Yep.
Is that all of them?
7 pedals on a board. All of them are JHS 3 series. That may be all of them.
Yeah,
I think there's the compressor, overdrive, fuzz, chorus, delay, reverb, and is that it?
I don't know. If you weren't counting, I don't know.
I have them, but I'm not going to go dig them all out.
It's 7. Yeah, it's 7. So it looks like 7. It's all 7.
So he's got the entire 3 series line from JHS here. One of these Squire, is that the pawn shop Strats?
That's a Squire 51. I can't remember. That looks like that's like the OG. What do they call that thing?
It's like the pawn shop series, right? Where it was
but the Squire ones came out before that. I think they just called it the Squire 51. So this was before pawn shop. They may have brought it back, but this looks like one of the. I mean, I don't know. It's basically like a Telly bass with a Strat neck pickup and a humbucker in the bridge in a Telly headstock.
But it's a double cut Strat body with a Telly neck on it.
Yeah, have you ever seen those 70s Telly basses with like the wide range pickup? And
Yeah.
Love those things. But yeah, these guitars are quirky, and it looks like it has, I can't tell what pickup is in it. It's got some sort of smooth.
It looks some sort of EMG-ish kind of thing in the bridge, humbucker position. And then we've got the PV.
Oh, Lord. That's a Delta Blues.
Delta Blues. Hey, man.
Ho! It's got a 15.
Listen, man. Listen, if PV made a truck. I think I just bought it. Actually,
I think
yesterday.
You did. Yeah, it needs like blue stripes and more chrome on the outside.
I think I should. I want to find a PV. Okay, real talk. We'll get back to the rig in a second. Yesterday, I bought an '87 square body Chevy C10. Actually, technically, it's an R10 pickup truck. Somebody out there, please find me a period correct PV bumper sticker. I'm talking 86 to 90. PV electronics bumper sticker. I need to put it on that truck.
I thought you were going to get an amp badge and stick it on it.
Yeah, right on the tailgate, just the PV badge.
That would be kind of cool.
Hey man, if PV made a truck, I bought
it. I guess it's got like a 6x9 speaker in the dash, probably, doesn't it?
Actually, the sound system in it. So the truck has been taken care of, and it's got the speakers and the door panels have been replaced.
Okay.
It's got 2 8-inch subs right behind the bench seat and an amp, and then like an aftermarket head unit that you would have bought in high school, you know? Mm-hmm. The one where you can take the panel off and like hide it so people don't steal it.
Like an Alpine or something.
Yeah. It's pretty sweet, man.
Well, I was just going to say, like, if it had any like exposed speaker grills, you should make those look like little PV cab. That really rough textured Tolex on the outside. Or carpet.
Oh, man. Okay, so let's get back to this rig. All right. So, what do you think? I've got mixed emotions. I need to collect my thoughts for a second here.
So, it's like half like something you would see at any bar gig anywhere in the country, and then we failed to mention there is also a gig rig switcher on the pedal board.
Yeah, and not totally necessary, if I'm honest.
Right, I think that's the point. But I don't know. Like, to me, those Squire guitars are okay. If they're set up fine, and I'm sure they're, all right. I'm not a fan of, as much as we're joking about the PV there. I am. Like, I'm not a huge fan of PV amplifiers, and the Delta Blues is like, it's basically the PV Classic with a 15, and I think they have tremolo, and I think that's really the only difference.
The PV stuff, I would much rather have this than a Hot Rod Deluxe or a Blues Junior.
Man, I was in I was in a band with some buddies that I'd known like forever, and I had a Hot Rod DeVille 4x10, and Kent, the other guitar player, had a PV Classic 50 4x10, and the Fender sounded I mean, maybe who knows if he ever tubed it,
Right.
like retubed it. But my Fender sounded so much better. I'm not a huge fan of them. I much prefer like the Hot Rod series.
Here's the thing about PV amps and PV everything, just about. Does it sound the best? No. Does it sound all that great? It's debatable. Is it going to work? Oh, yeah. Is it reliable? Oh, yeah. Is it built like a tank? You're damn right.
Well, it's a weird built tank. I don't know if you ever opened one of those or seen it. So
I'd be scared too.
They
honestly.
have 2 circuit boards that are connected by ribbon cables. So you have to like unfold the circuit. Because I had a PV Classic 30 that I modded, and it helped it quite a bit. But even then, I mean, they're like they are. If you want something that is going to perform and be consistent, and you don't really have to worry about or spend a lot of money on,
exactly
PV, and same with the Squire. Like these are very serviceable guitars. I know a lot of people that have had them and love them.
And here's what I like about the Squire too. It's a no frills guitar. It's a hardtail. There's no tremolo. Yeah. It's got a beefy Telly style neck on it. Like that's a workhorse guitar. That's one that if you're gigging a lot and you're playing a lot of shows indoors, outdoors, in bars and stuff like that, and you don't want to take something super nice. You don't want to take something that you're precious about. That's a guitar that'll absolutely get the job done. This whole rig is a rig that'll get the job done. And if you were to spill a beer on that PV, in fact, that PV looks too clean.
Yeah,
I think he needs to spill a couple beers on it. And
there's
leave
no
it outside.
there's no rips in that tweed yet.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with a clean PV amp.
You know what's funny? Sidebar. In Back to the Future, when Marty is playing the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, he's playing that like a 59 ES3 55 or 45 or whatever.
Which, by the way, Gibson, Mark Agnesi, they're on the hunt for that guitar,
right.
by the way.
But I know that's like, that's one of those laughably inaccurate things because like, hey, there's 1955.
Yeah.
But I think the amp he's playing, because he like kicks it over and stuff, I think it's a PV Classic because it has, just like this one, has the chrome corners, which a Bassman, they don't. They're just smooth. And I mean, someone in the chat, if they can find a screen grab of the Marty Enchantment Under the Sea amp, post it. But anyway, but with the pedal board, the
pedal board,
the switching system is it's so redundant.
This is definitely a school of redundancy school. So first of all, the JHS 3 series, they're great. They're really good for the money. I mean, each one of these pedals, I'm assuming he bought them new, $90, $99. So you could say he's just in pedals. He's got maybe $700 wrapped up in this rig.
Yeah.
Plus the tuner. Why go with the loop switcher here? And I don't think this is a joke because each switch is labeled, which is also redundant because the way this board is laid out, the switch is basically directly under the pedal it's in the loop. You don't necessarily need the label next to it.
Right.
I can kind of understand like, okay, well, it's more direct signal path, but all these pedals are true bypass anyways. So are you really saving that much in terms of capacitance in your cable? I don't think so. Do you need the loop switcher? I don't think so.
It would. The only thing that I think it affords you is that those buttons are really easy to push.
But so are the JHS buttons, and they're literally
I know
2.5 inches away from the pedal buttons.
Like I've seen a lot of boards like this, and I'm pretty sure Brian is doing this in jest.
That's a lot of work to go through for a jest.
I mean, a label. You can make labels so fast once you get one of those dymos. But
now I will go ahead. Sorry,
but all the cables are cut to length. I don't know.
It's a very clean build. They're all soldered cables. So props to you, Brian, for that. If you would have come at me with this board and they were solderless, let me just confirm. Those are soldered. Yeah.
There's one. I think that one on the end, on the very first pedal, the very first JHS.
Well, that is
small.
like a lava cable, but I have a lava cable kit, a soldered cable kit that had those ends on it. So that could be a soldered cable.
Well, I don't know. But what I was saying is like I've seen people make these boards not ironically, like have like 3 or 4 pedals with a pedal switcher. And I mean, if you have like old stuff, sure. But modern pedals, I don't know.
Also, have you noticed every knob is at 1 o'clock?
except for the first one on the fuzz.
Except for the fuzz, which is I can't tell what knob that is, but
well, that's the slide tone. I mean, I think ultimately,
I think that
where
is
Josh gets
slide
you
tone.
is that he probably has a very similar setup.
But that's the thing is like, that's unquestionably why my slide tone is superior to Josh Scott's in every measurable way is because, I mean, not only am I a superior slide player to Josh Scott, but I'm also not using my own line of pedals to make my slide tone. You know, it's just it's ridiculous. Not yet. I will be though.
I just envision him, and this is something that I wish once we get our producer or whatever, we can coordinate this. I just envision Josh like eating his cereal right now and like going, someone's talking about me.
Hold on. Somebody's talking. Listen,
Rhett
Josh,
Shull.
Get good, man. You know, get some slide chops together. My God, it's embarrassing.
What would you rate this rig? Just at face value.
All right, this is a honky tonk rig right here.
Yes.
This is a honky tonk rig. The PV amp, you know, the Squire, the redundant board here. It's a nice honky tonk. You know, it's the type of honky tonk where they've got, you know, a lot of elk and deer and boar on the walls. You know,
they might have Miller High Life on draft.
It's the champagne of beers. You know what I mean? This is a nice honky tonk. I'm going to give this 7.6 shoyles. You're getting bonus points with the soldered cables. If you had put solderless cables on this board, this would be a 4, I think. But yeah, I like it. I'm here for it. This is a good, reliable, you know, does it sound great? Yeah, it probably sounds pretty good, but it's reliable as hell, and I'm here for it.
I don't like the PV amps. I'm not a big fan of those guitars. I want to give it a 6 because like I think it's totally serviceable, but not for me. And somebody, who is this? Zap Rose Dower in the chat posted the Back to the Future amp, and it has chrome corners on the bottom, but not on the top.
Let me see here. I missed it.
It may just be
interesting.
It may have just been a prop.
Yeah, that looks like a,
because he does kick it over.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe it's like a carving. I'm sure there's a web page that breaks down what that amp was.
For real though, apparently Gibson is offering like a reward, or at least they were last year. They're offering a reward to find the Back to the Future guitar. They don't know where it is.
They should pay them in a DeLorean or something. I would love that.
What, be paid in a DeLorean?
Yeah, I would love a DeLorean. Not like I want one of those, the new ones where they're like putting an actual like crate motor in it.
Yeah, that's the thing about DeLoreans is like you love the idea of a DeLorean, but you would never want to own a DeLorean. They sucked. A kid that I went to high school with had one. And it was a piece of trash. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was awful.
My mom, before she met my dad, she dated a guy with one, and she said it was the worst because they had to park far away because of the gull wing doors. They couldn't be next to anything, so they had to walk. She's like, that's so annoying.
Man, yeah.
But so we didn't plan ahead on our topic.
No, we didn't.
But and you know what? I don't have a shill, but I kind of have a shill, and I think we could talk about this because we had mentioned these guitars in the past. Yeah. And I finally got one, and I think this is going to wind up being way more expensive than I was hoping it would be.
Okay.
But I got a Revstar.
Oh boy.
So this is a Yamaha RS 620.
Yep.
Yes. And so this is the 2 humbucker wrap tail. I took the stock bridge off of it, and I've already modified it a lot.
Of course, this guitar, right?
It's really neat.
It is neat.
They have a pretty comfortable neck. It's kind of SG like the neck.
Okay.
It has a volute, which I'm sure people know if they know these guitars. But all around, like, build quality is great. The only thing that I have a big gripe with was the hardware, and I don't like the tuners, and some of the frets have needed some attention. I've had to like get my little I have one of those StewMac sanding erasers. Have you ever seen those?
Yep.
And just like get all the fret ends. I mean, that's probably just because this guitar is, who knows how old it is. But from a feel standpoint, it's really great. And this is going to be my pickup test bed guitar. And I just kind of want to talk about going on the journey of like tweaking stuff to like really make it right, and how sometimes, I mean, I guess we've talked about this. We talked about this, but
yeah.
I don't know.
I also want to talk about the Revstar brand too, because I think this is an interesting discussion. So I've never played one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak from experience on the Revstar. There's a few people in the chat here that say they own them, they've bought them, they like them, and I think it's a brand that's really started to come around. I remember when they first came out, it was kind of like it's like when Taylor started doing the solid body electric guitars. Has anybody ever bought one of the Taylor solid body electric guitars? Not anyone that I know. I
mean, I'm sure someone has.
Anybody in the chat have one or has had one? I feel like there was a similar thing with Revstar when they first came out. It was like a Yamaha electric thing, but they've stuck around. And now you've got people like Chris Buck playing them, promoting them.
Yeah.
And Chris certainly doesn't suck at guitar and is not going to play a guitar that sucks, right?
No.
So yeah, how's the fit and finish? How's the build quality? Give us a quick Shoils review here.
Yeah, so for this is starting to get into the upper tier, because there is a custom shop that I don't know if you can like spec it out yourself, but they do make, that's what Chris is. His is a custom shopped Revstar. The top is a satin. You can see this on camera. It's you know, nice, smooth, and the flame veneer and the finish on the top is great. The back is all shiny.
Yep.
Like I said, the neck, it's basically a Gibson scale length with a pretty flat radius. I think it might actually be a 14 inch radius, but the neck has just an SG sort of feel. But as far as like build quality, there's a few parts on this one where like the finish is kind of cloudy, but I don't know if that is, again, from age or something that happened at factory. I mean, there's a few little like funny binding things, but all in all, as far as like the build of the guitar itself, I think it's great. The big shortcoming on this, the bridge rattled really bad. There was something about the saddles, because it's in the other room, but it's kind of like, it's an intonatable wrap, but unlike the Schroeder, like on my Novo or like on a PRS, it has almost like a Strat style saddle that goes up and down. Really strange. Tuners aren't great. They're they have a lot of play in them. Plastic nut, I think. And the pickup stock were actually really good, but like I said, this is going to be the guitar I tweak with. So I've already like swapped out the wiring and rewired it, except for the switch, because I really like this little kind of switch tip.
Yeah, the little blade switch. So what did that guitar retail for? Do you know?
I don't know. I only paid a little over $500 for it. I think they're only like 800 something bucks for this one.
Okay.
But correct me if I'm wrong, chat. But I don't like the inlays. The inlays are a little rough.
Okay. So, but at that price though, what are we competing with for solid body double humbucker electric? You're above an Epiphone. We are kind of in the upper Epiphone.
Yeah.
Price range.
PRS SE.
Yeah. Import PRS. Wait, is the SE the one that is still made in Maryland?
No, that's S2.
S2. God,
Yeah.
I can't keep PRS stuff straight.
Yeah. SE S2 core.
Right. Okay. So your upper echelon Epiphone, which may be like because I know Epiphone was doing the master built stuff for a while. I don't know if they're still doing that, and I don't know that they ever did that in a solid body like Les Paul.
No, well, they had the Japanese Elitist and Elite series for a while. I had one of those that were great. Those have now like skyrocketed, but I mean, like you can they're nicer Epiphones. I mean, a normal like Epiphone Les Paul standard is like $600.
Sure. Fender in the 800 category, they were doing the what was the black guard? I remember when I was teaching, I had a student that had what was the line that you could get a Strat and a Tele
black top.
Black top. Yes, he had a black top Strat that I think was in that $700 to $800 range. Those
probably a little less, maybe. Actually.
Yeah. And then you're not going to get Gibson USA for anywhere close to $800. Maybe a Les Paul Studio. You might find a used Les Paul Studio that's been kind of through the ringer a little bit for $800.
Yeah.
So it's almost like Revstars sitting in this sort of interesting price category.
Yeah.
Above an Epiphone, above a Mexican Fender, below American Standard Fender, below Gibson USA, maybe Schecter. You're competing with a brand like Schecter.
Yeah, I mean Schecter, ESP, all those guys are going to have something kind of more, that doesn't necessarily have to appeal to the heavy metal crowd.
Sure.
The Schecter makes some cool, quirky guitars. I mean, in Gretsch, you can get some great Gretsch for
Gretsch, Ibanez, D Mars in the chat talking about Ibanez. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, I think under $1,000, you're getting a solid body, dual humbucker, Yamaha, which here's the thing about Yamaha products, especially like their acoustics. I think I have the most experience with Yamaha acoustics, and they consistently punch above their weight class in terms of price and sound quality and features.
Yeah.
Now, having never played a Revstar, I can't speak to how they come across, but I think there's this interesting thing that I want to talk about before we get more into the modding side of that guitar, which is brand identity.
Yeah.
Right? Are people overlooking the Revstar brand because it's got the Yamaha badge on the headstock?
I don't know. Like, it's one of those guitar brands that, and because Dennis and I were talking about this, it just kind of came and then it didn't do anything. And now, I mean, we're starting to see, like you said, like you're starting to see people play them. But even still, like this is a very well-made guitar. It's not super heavy. It plays well when it has a proper setup on it, which I haven't been able to give it yet. But there's nothing wrong with these guitars. And like bone stock, they're pretty good. And as if you move a little higher than this, you get really nice hardware. You get like tone press bridges and stuff. But I just feel like people, I think they got confused because they launched with like a lot of models. There's like ones with P90s. There's ones with like a big trapeze sort of looking tailpiece. There was a ABR Tunematic style one that was cheaper, that was all shiny. Like there was just a lot. They unleashed like the whole range, and I think it might have overwhelmed people. I feel like they should have dropped like a high end and a low end one, and then people would have been able to like understand like what it's all about, because it's basically a spiritual successor to the Starfighter Yamaha from like the late 70s, which is pretty similar, and this looks way cooler than those do. So. Also,
Starfighter is the coolest name for a guitar ever.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that? Good God. Starfighter? Hell yeah. What do you play? Oh, I got a Starfighter. Double humbucker Starfighter.
Yeah,
it just sounds badass, man. Hell yeah.
Now you can't say that or you get sued by Lucasfilm or something.
Oh, God. Yeah, take me there.
But yeah, I mean,
I think
I was just going to say, I think Yamaha makes like killer like guitars that they just get overlooked. Like Pacificas, Dan in the chat, Pacificas are crazy good guitars for the money. There's, Strat style, super Strat.
Wasn't Pat Metheny, didn't he have the Pacifica line for a long time?
I think he might have had like a, one of those more like a Telly style.
Yeah. That's the thing is like, there's an interesting discussion to be had about brand identity and how do you make a purchase decision? Because it all plays into our purchasing decision, whether we want to or not. There's, especially if you grew up listening to the type of music that we did and playing the type of music that we do, there's this idea of like, you look at a Gibson or a Fender as like sort of the pinnacle of like, when I was growing up, I wanted a 335 because that's like my thing. I want a Gibson 335.
Yeah.
There are other guitars that are equally as good or better than Gibsons out there for the same kind of price, right? You look at Heritage, you look at Eastman or whatever. But there's this idea of like, you wanted to say Gibson on the headstock. And I know for some people that plays more of a role than others. But I do think that is part of the reason a brand like Revstar has not taken off or has taken a long time to kind of catch on, because it's a new brand. It's out of nowhere. I think the aesthetic, the brand aesthetic is a little, when I think about the Yamaha and the Revstar logo and everything, it's just kind of straight ahead in a way. It's a little I don't know. It to me, it brings up the fact that there's not a legacy behind that brand. I think that's what it is.
Right.
There's not a lot of people that have played those guitars. You haven't grown up listening to them. You haven't,
Yeah.
And they're kind of a new thing, which is, the way people like Dennis gets around that is building guitars that are a unique shape, but kind of call back to a specific era, a specific time. And they're just unbelievably well-made guitars.
Yeah, totally.
But I think there is something to that. The idea of like a new brand coming on the scene and the aesthetic of the brand affecting how well it sells.
And maybe that's the point of the conversation. Oh, and by the way, it was Mike Stern had that signature guitar. I don't know if Pat Metheny ever played Yamahas, but
I'm sorry I pissed off all the jazz.
Oh no,
people.
no!
My assistant Chris, jazz school Chris, is going to be so upset that I screwed that up.
But maybe that's the bigger question is like, how does a brand get into the market without just doing blatant copies? Because you look at this, you look at Reverend, which I think they have a really strong foothold. But like, if there was someone new, when the Shoyles brand finally gets off the ground, like how do you find your place in a market with? I mean, it's dominated mostly by people who love tradition and love kind of stepping into the shoes of their heroes in a way. Like how do you launch something that does that? I mean, that's tell me, Rhett.
I think let's play armchair CMO here, Chief Marketing Officer. Let's say you and I, the Shoyles consulting firm, gets hired by Revstar, by Yamaha. Our rate, by the way, Yamaha, if you're listening, I don't roll out of bed for less than $500,000. So
I was going to say 2 million, but
that's what I'm saying. I don't roll out of bed. That's
okay.
That's not my. That's like my baseline.
Now
you've got my attention. Yeah, But I think the way Revstar kind of came on the scene was like there was an initial push, and I'm just speaking based off of my memory of it, which is not very much, which I think speaks to how they kind of came on the scene. There wasn't a lot of well-known players endorsing them, picking them up. They kind of just came out like, hey, Yamaha Electrics, Revstar, it's this cool, funky new thing. And it was like, oh, that's interesting. All right. And until now, I think, again, having people like Chris Buck play them, having people like you start to pick them up and talk about them.
Oh, me.
Yeah, dude, you're an influencer, man.
I do have that Amazon account. I'm gonna go to the Yamaha website and see who other people.
You've got tens of followers, dude. You're influencing the masses here. But I think if you're a new brand and you want to make a splash, I think there's a couple of different ways to do it. A, come out with something. There's the Dennis Fano method, which is something really unique and incredibly well made, where the guitar quality and tone and look and feel speaks for itself. And you just put them out there and you have enough people talking about how damn good the guitars are that they just sell themselves, right? There's the Gibson way, and the Fender way, which is calling back to a golden era, so to speak, of guitar. Hey, we're, the new Gibson, we're 50s Les Paul, 60s Les Paul. Fender coming out with, the Vintera series or the Pawn Shop series, whatever. And then there's the Revstar way, which is kind of a new guitar on the scene, new shape, new sort of thing. And I think for that to work, you have to just get them out there, get them in as many players' hands as possible, get people talking about them.
Yeah.
And eventually enough people will start to pick them up and try them. Then it kind of builds this organic following. And it just hasn't clicked for Revstar, at least yet. I haven't seen enough people talking about them and playing them. There's a sort of underlying sort of curiosity, at least what we see here on the podcast, of people bringing them up every now and then. But
the only person on their artist page, besides Chris that we know, is Jeff Schroeder from the Smashing Pumpkins. And it's like all the other musicians, I'm sure, I mean, like, they're just, Dave from the Killers apparently is using them. Mm-hmm. But I don't recognize any of these other artists. I mean, that does not be because I don't know anything. But people in the chat were saying, like, isn't that what I had to do with Mythos? And that's true. But I do think that today's world is a little different from when I gave Mythos an honest try in like 2015, when I really started saying, okay, I'm going to see if this can work. And ultimately I was just patient and didn't let it rule my life, because I had a job, I wasn't worried about it. When you're a big brand, like now, if I wanted to drop something entirely new and different and something that no one else was doing or whatever, I think it would be a little harder to do that now than it would have been back then. Mainly because it was a different world and I hadn't done anything yet. I was still like getting started. Like, people might have a preconceived notion about Yamaha. Like you're right. If this didn't say Yamaha, would that affect people's perception of it? And maybe, but
there's also the idea too of like who's playing your stuff,
right?
And what it gets known for. So people in the chat here were talking about PRS, and so when I think about PRS as a brand, there's a couple things that come to mind. One is build quality and quality control. Every PRS I've ever picked up they've been perfect. Mm-hmm. Like nothing wrong, with the exception of like this, the blue dye they were using in some of them. Have you seen that? The way the blue dye fades in the bursts in some of their older. Yeah, they have this weird problem where the blue completely changes colors. But other than that, PRSs are incredibly well made. But when I think about PRS, and the big thing that's kept me personally away from a PRS is the image of those guitars in my brain is synonymous with butt rock and bro country, because that's what they did in the early to mid 2000s all the way to the 2010s. If you were a butt rock new metal band or a bro country band, which now Nashville pop bro country just is butt rock with twang.
Right. Yeah.
That's just what it moved over to.
Butt rock through a Fender.
Exactly. It's PRS playing them. Now, they did that, and I think it worked for them because through that era, I mean, it got a lot of people into PRS. And then they have the whole metal scene too, which is a different thing, which is above my pay grade as a guitar player. So I don't speak to that. But when I see a custom 24 or something, to me, it just, the image I have in my brain is, Creed or something like that, which is fine. There's nothing wrong, with that. When I was 11 years old and 12 years old, I loved Creed, right? But to me, it's where I'm at as a player now. It's just not my thing. Yeah. So yeah, I think brand image, who's playing your stuff, quality, the tone of the guitar, all that stuff really matters. So yeah.
Yeah, guys in the chat are saying their first memory of PRS is Santana, and that's probably one of my early memories of PRS is seeing Carlos Santana playing them. What's funny is like Carlos played Yamaha SGs too, like the it didn't look like an SG, it was a different body shaped guitar, which those are cool guitars, and they've reissued those. Phil X, I think, played those for a while,
right?
If I'm not mistaken. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. But I think he did. But yeah, it's all about who you connect with early on in your career, or at least, at the moment when you're trying to push a new product, like to kind of establish what it means or how it's going to be perceived by the community. Yeah. Because if I had only made pedals and pushed them to like metal guys, I would not be here like doing this in this way. It'd be a totally different thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think it works. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. I mean, you look at a brand like Dark Glass, for example. Yeah. Dark Glass makes amazing stuff. But they are known and sort of synonymous with the progressive scene, the metal scene, that kind of stuff. But yeah. So what are your plans for the Revstars as it sits right now? It's the test mule.
It's going to be the test mule for pickups. So the one major gripe, and this is, just because of what I intended on doing with it, is this control cavity is pretty small.
Yep.
So I cleaned up the wiring. Let's see if I can get I can't see. You can kind of see it. But
Yep.
I rewired it and gave it as much room as possible. So there's actually going to be space to run all the pickup leads. But luckily there's a little room under the pickup cavity so I can like coil stuff around. So this is all done. But now I bought this. This is like a cheap, I think it was like $12 on Amazon, Tone Pros copy that I mainly got because I just wanted to see if it would work on the guitar.
Right.
Because I'm next to Revolta and Novo. They have all sorts of bridges around, and I was just grabbing some and like seeing if it would go on the posts, and some of them would, some of them wouldn't.
Right.
But it's really strange because the placement of the bridge, it's a 24 3/4 inch scale, but when I put like a normal wrap tail bridge, it made it 25-inch scale, so that was not gonna fly. So I think I'm gonna upgrade to a real Tone Pros bridge because this one sucks. It just sucks. I don't know why I wasted the $12 on it, but I'm gonna upgrade this. I'm gonna upgrade the tuners. I want to have probably Dave Johnson or maybe Eastside runner over there to get a really good fret dress and everything on it. Because even though I polish them, they're kind of dingy and it just needs some loving. So once I get that Tone Pros, set it up. But then it's just, I mean, like there's nothing else to it. It's just straightforward. And that's why I got it. So I'm just gonna have little because it has a box style toggle switch.
Yep.
I can just tack the leads. I added some big wires to just touch the ground. So it's going to be really quick to install pickups. These pickups, I'm just going to let everybody know, sound like crap.
Self-shill.
Yeah. I was really disappointed with the bridge. It sounds really bad. And, you know, I don't know if that's just this sounding crappy, but I think it's just the pickup sounds like crap. And the neck doesn't sound all that great. And they're out of phase, which I figured they would be because I wound this one the opposite direction.
Did that Peter Green thing going on though?
Yeah, I mean you can, but like the cool thing about a Peter Green guitar is you have two volumes, so you can kind of like roll one back and it goes away.
That's okay. So the one aesthetically, when I look at that guitar, there's something off about it. And so and I figured out what it is. Hold it up so I can get a good look at it. I think it's an attractive guitar.
I think so.
But there's one thing that's really bumming me out about the aesthetics of that guitar, and it's the knobs are too far apart. Like, why is the volume and tone knob that far apart?
It doesn't feel weird.
Yeah, but it looks weird to me.
I like it. One thing I probably will do is all the plastic. I think I'm going to make it cream because
that'll be cool.
Because it's a sunburst looking thing, and Tony Dudzik from Pit Guardian, he does the guitar knobs. Yeah. The Guitar Knobs podcast. He makes pick guards, so I'm just going to take this off and mail it to him and get some just like cream rings and.
But call it a day.
I kind of I feel like the volume knob is kind of like trying to do the Strat thing where you can swell and still pick. Which I kind of prefer the volume knob to be like at where Gibson is, so a little bit further away,
just out of the way.
Because I go to grab it and I go like in between.
Well, listen, when it comes time for the Zach Broyles signature Revstar, you can do that. You can put your volume knob wherever you want.
I don't know if they're going to CNC a whole new thing for just me.
Oh, they will. They will for you. Because you're an influencer.
Dude, I love Chris's guitar. I remember when he was getting it, he told me what it was, and I was like, dude, that sounds like really cool. He said, yeah, I don't know. Like, I hope so, because he had played Revstars in the past, and I love his guitar. The only thing I don't like is that the plastics of the P90s and the plastic of his pickguard don't match, like at all. Right. And I know that, vintage Les Pauls don't match, but it just irks me. But I think it looks, the gold top and the checking and stuff looks great.
Yeah, it looks great.
I mean, like if it were me and I was going to have one made, I would have this with probably a real maple cap. I mean, this may be a maple cap, but like, not veneer, and in a nice nitro finish with a similar sunburst and just fancy hardware.
That's a poly finish on there.
It's got to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. I got this thing from Willie's Guitars off Reverb. Gave me a good deal, and they shipped it real quick. But it had a few little funny things. So you know, but that's buying guitars on the internet. You know, especially used ones. I roll that dice too much, I think.
I mean, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? So, well, cool. I think we're gonna call that season 1. Of the
man.
pod. That's we're gonna finish up with our shills here, our shill of the week.
Yeah, do you have a shill?
I do. But yeah, that's season 1. That's we're wrapping it up, season 1. So here's the deal. Moving forward, we're gonna be taping on a consistent day. Mm-hmm. We're gonna be taping Wednesday afternoons, evenings, depending on where you are in the world. So if you are one of our Patreon members, be on the lookout for that. If you want to join up with the Patreon, links down below. We're gonna I want to say take this a little more seriously. It sounds bad, but we're gonna step our game up a little bit for season 2. I think.
I mean, it's just so hard, you know, to organize everything, because I know when we first started, I think we needed the creative outlet and something that was a distraction in like a positive way.
Yeah.
And it turns into work, which is, you know, it's a good thing, but then when you have other work that, you know, is putting food on the table and taking care of the family and everything else, it's like it kind of takes precedence, and it sucks. And I feel so guilty when I let things slide. But I'm a walking stressed out person. I'm always stressed. I'm just walking stress. That's what I was trying to say.
Hey man, that's typical millennials, that we're all walking stress balls. You know what I mean? It's just how we roll. So you got that shill of the week ready?
Oh, that was the guitar. That was all I had.
Okay. All right, well, I've got one.
Yeah, show me.
And this is a stand-in for the actual shill, because the actual shill is mounted on my pedal board, my touring pedal board in its case. But I'm gonna show the gold, right? But this is a stand-in for the Mjolnir, just the straight ahead Mjolnir. So for these shows I've had the last couple weeks with Noah, I put my pulled my touring board back out. It has the Mjolnir on it, and been playing the Bad Cat Cub 40R with my Port City 212 cab, and I have been so happy with the tone of that rig for Noah's gig. The past few shows have been some of the best sounds I've ever had on Noah's gig ever, and I've been using a couple of different drives with the Bad Cat. And the thing I like about the Bad Cat is it comes with the foot switch. You can switch the preamp tubes between 12AX7 and EF86. Right. And then also the fat switch, the fat boost, is controlled on a foot switch. So I'm doing most of my gain staging with the amp itself. And then I'm just, for solos or for heavy rhythm parts, I'm just hitting the front end of the amp a little harder with either the Mjolnir or the Steel String Supreme from Vertex. That pedal works really well with the Bad Cat. But the last 2 shows, I literally was just using the Mjolnir and the Bad Cat and a little bit of delay and reverb, and that was the whole rig. I could have pared my entire pedal board down to 3 pedals.
Oh man.
And it slapped hard.
That's great. You know what's funny? I was playing it when Jeff started. I kind of gave him a rundown on what all the pedals sounded like, and I was playing the Mjolnir, and I was thinking it might be a little too dark, but
no.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay, good.
I've got the tone like right at 1:00, and it's brightening up the Bad Cat, which is what I want when I'm hitting when I want a solo boost or I want the guitar to step forward. I want it to be brighter. Yeah. The Mjolnir's doing that, and I'm actually not running that much gain. It's really more of just a boost with a touch of gain, because the amp's already got some good overdrive in it.
Because how I tweaked it, and thank you, by the way. I kind of dialed. I wanted it to be more everyman friendly, and so I took the gain back. I kind of reduced the overall brightness and increased the low mids and try to fatten it all up. But I get in my head about it. I'm like, just brushing my teeth, thinking I think the Mjolnir is too dark.
No, it's not.
Okay, good. Because I played it here through the deluxe, and I was like, man, this thing is dark sounding. I don't know. Maybe it might be a crappy cable.
Yeah, it might be a bad cable. So. But yeah, I love it, man. So I'm actually going to be, I think, overhauling the board, the touring board that Mason built a couple years ago.
I thought of a shill, but
go ahead.
Keep talking.
I'm gonna tell the people about this. So early on in my YouTube channel, I did a video with Mason from Vertex where I flew out to Oakland and we built a pedal board. And that has been my primary pedal board for 3 years. I've used it on just about every gig I've done since then. And it's in need of some work. I talked about this in my vlog from last week, but some of the cables are a little bit iffy. The Strymon bridge got bent sometime in transit somewhere. It's like bent a little bit. And so I think I want to upgrade to one of the newer Vertex boards, the bent sheet metal boards with the riser. And we're going to go with an RJM switcher. I'm going to move away from the Boss switcher, going with one of the RJM ones because it's going to simplify the rig and it's got a built-in tuner. So that's one less pedal I have to have on my board. And we're going to go with the new SP400 square plug ends, new cabling. I might make some pedal changes as well. But yeah, we're going to overhaul the touring board.
Great. You said bent metal.
Yep.
And I thought of this. Oh, God.
Jesus, what the hell is that?
So this is, see that crank handle there?
Yeah, baby.
So this is a resistor lead bender. So what you do is you can buy resistors on tape, basically.
Right.
And you feed it in here. There's like a tooth gear and some arms and a pair of cutting wheels, and you crank this thing.
What?
It pulls the resistors through, bends the legs to whatever spacing you want them to be bent to, and cuts them so they just fall through the board and you just have a tiny amount of lead poking through. I bought this because, every Wildwood, we put the parts on. And that was part of the thing. They want us to do it, right?
Yep.
Which it's awesome, but it's also very taxing. So I thought it's heavy.
There's some gravity in that, huh?
Yeah. So we'd bent every resistor by hand. Over the course of me building pedals, who knows how many thousands and thousands and thousands of resistors and diodes I've bent by hand. I bought this on Amazon. It was like $280, maybe less. I don't know. And once I got it set, you just crank it, and just in seconds, they're bent and cut. And you still have to clip them once you solder them, but it's going to save hours.
Yeah,
I feel
It'll
really
pay for
dumb.
Itself.
I feel
It'll pay for
really
itself.
dumb. I showed it to Dennis. He's like, "Oh man, you should have one that bend because you can make them bend other shapes." He's like, "You should have one for everything." I was like, "Yeah, you're right." Yeah, the guys are just cranking.
That's badass. Well, there you go, everyone. That is our show of the week, and that is calling it quits for episode or season 1, episode whatever the hell we're on at this point. Who knows?
The last episode of season 1.
Yeah, the last episode of season 1. Thanks everyone who's watched and listened and subscribed and joined the Patreon over the last year. It has been enjoyment. Season 2, we're going for world domination.
That's it.
We're going to take over the guitar podcasting world.
We're going to get there with all of your help. So
you're damn right.
All right.
See y'all.
Bye, everybody.